It was a rainy Tuesday morning when Tom Carter, a struggling father of 3, got a knock that would shake his world. Standing at the door was Victor Blake, landlord of the old apartment complex on Maple Street. With a smug smile and a thick envelope, Victor didn't waste time. "You've got 14 days, Carter. Either pay the 6 months rent you owe or get out. I need this place cleared for someone who can afford it." Tom's heart sank. He had been working 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. His wife, Melissa, was recovering from surgery. His kids were sleeping in the next room. "I just need a little more time," Tom pleaded. But Victor laughed. "This isn't a charity. If you can't pay, you don't stay." What Victor didn't know was that someone else had been listening. A neighbor named David Lawson. Quiet, unassuming, always wearing a hoodie and keeping to himself. Most thought he was just some ex-military guy living off disability. But David had a secret, one that Victor Blake was about to regret ever crossing paths with. The next few days, Tom tried everything. Borrowed from friends, begged his boss for an advance, even tried selling his old truck. Nothing worked. The clock was ticking, and Victor was getting more aggressive. "Tick-tock, Carter," Victor sneered during one visit. "You've got 10 days now, and I've already got a tenant lined up." One evening, Tom sat on the curb outside the building, head in his hands. David Lawson walked over silently and sat beside him. "I heard what's going on," David said calmly. Tom looked up. "Yeah. Unless you've got 6 grand lying around, there's not much talking to do." David didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked across the street where Victor's expensive car was parked under the street lamp. "Let me ask you something," David said. "Do you trust me?" Tom blinked. "What? Why?" David looked him in the eye. "Just answer." Tom hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, I guess I do." David stood. "Then go inside. Tell your family to stay calm. And whatever happens next, don't interfere." Tom watched as David walked into the darkness. And that night, everything began to change. 2 days later, Victor Blake got a letter. It wasn't from Tom. It was from the county. According to the letter, there was an investigation being opened into illegal rental practices and fraudulent evictions. Victor stormed down the stairs and banged on Tom's door. "You think you're clever, huh? Calling the county?" Tom looked genuinely confused. "What? I didn't." But before Victor could say more, a black SUV pulled up. Out stepped 2 federal agents. "Victor Blake," one said, "we need to ask you some questions." What Victor didn't know was that David Lawson wasn't just some quiet ex-soldier. He was a former federal analyst retired early due to an injury, but still deeply connected. And what he found in Victor's background would make anyone sick. Fraud, fake leases, evictions without due process, even offshore accounts. And David had all the files. As Victor was taken in for questioning, Tom watched from the window in disbelief. He turned to David, who stood silently nearby. "What did you do?" Tom asked. David simply replied. "I reminded him that power without integrity always has an expiration date." But the storm was far from over. Just when Tom thought things were finally settling, Victor was released on bail. And he was furious. Late one night, someone slashed the tires on David's truck. The next morning, Tom found a dead rat stuffed in his mailbox. Victor was back and more dangerous than before. But David was ready. He had secretly recorded every conversation Victor had with tenants. He had backup files hidden in 3 locations. And he had just contacted someone from Victor's past, a woman named Evelyn Monroe. She was once Victor's business partner. Until he betrayed her and stole everything. When David reached out, she didn't hesitate. "I've been waiting for years to bring that man down," she said coldly. Together, David and Evelyn built a case so airtight, not even Victor's high-priced lawyer could poke a hole in it. But before the final blow could land, David got a text. "Back off or your friend Tom disappears. You have 24 hours. David stared at the message, then looked at the security footage he had installed around the building. He zoomed in on a figure lurking near Tom's window. To be continued. The next 24 hours were chaos. David traced the message to a burner phone bought just 2 streets away. Surveillance showed a man in a hoodie Victor's knew, enforcer scouting the building at midnight. But David was faster. He sent Tom and his family out of town under police protection. Then, with Evelyn's help, he uploaded the full case to the press. Within hours, it was everywhere. Headlines read, "Landlord exposed in shocking. Fraud network federal charges pending." Victor's office was raided, his bank accounts frozen, and the judge, whose daughter happened to be one of Victor's past victims, didn't hesitate. No bail this time. In the courtroom, Victor turned to see David sitting calmly in the back row. "You think you've won?" Victor hissed as he was led away in cuffs. David didn't smile. He simply whispered, "This isn't about winning. It's about justice." Outside, the neighborhood gathered to thank David. Kids hugged him. Mothers cried. And Tom, with tears in his eyes, said, "You didn't just save my home. You gave me hope again." David nodded once. Good people deserve to live without fear. As Victor was driven away, Evelyn turned to David. "You know, there's someone else who might need our help next." "Someone worse than him?" David raised an eyebrow. "Worse than Victor?" She handed him a file. "Ever heard of Anthony Cross?" David flipped open the folder and froze, because inside was a photo of a man he thought was dead. A man from his past. A man who once betrayed everything David stood for. And just like that, the real war began.